everybody. Well, I'm Hat Person. With me, as always, is the Red Baron, and we're just going to go ahead and load up the replay as soon as we can as well. So, I mean, this was played last week. We got the replays. We don't quite know the very specifics, but we do still have the picks and bans here in their fullest. I think we should review them real quick, too.
Yeah, I think that sounds like an excellent idea.
So, CLG.Black is going to be on the blue side here for game number 3. Nocturne, Janna, Malphite being banned out. Nocturne was
okay.
There's the two big initiators there,
right.
But the thing is, though, they're letting up Alistar, they're letting him go. Could be an issue. Ordinance, Shen, Urgot, Yorick being banned out. Still keeping on Shen. TF is available now.
Yeah,
but
it's interesting. The Urgot being banned out every game by the second pick team, and so
yes.
Urgot's just such a strong champion even after the nerfs. The first pick team, not wanting them to have that. So CLG in this last matchup, they can leave open Urgot. They don't have to worry about it. Are you good?
I'm sorry. I see my hair on the XSplit preview screen. Like, oh my God, what's happening to me? Sorry. Anyway. Continue.
I don't know. So instead, they ban out Nocturne. They didn't want to pick up the Nocturne, ban out the Janna as well. So they have Soraka open. Is Soraka open?
Soraka is open.
So we could have a first pick Soraka. I mean, I guess we know what their first.
Well,
pick
here's the
is.
thing though. Alistar escaped the bans.
Oh, okay.
CLG.Black picks him up first pick.
Very cool.
So let's load it up and go through the rest of these picks. Ordinance in retaliation for the Alistar actually going to go. Well, actually, wait, no. Soraka was picked up by Ordinance there. Soraka.
By Ordinance. Oh, okay.
Soraka and Jarvan going to go ahead and get grabbed. Corki, Sona, CLG.Black after that is going to go establish her bot lane. Ashe, Twisted Fate. Once again, someone who escaped the bans game 3 gets picked up. Anivia Kennen, though, for CLG.Black. That's a pretty deadly AP combo. And finally, Olaf for Ordinance. Going to be going ahead. Where's he going? He's going to top lane. So we're going to have a jungle Jarvan here for game number 3 on Ordinance.
Yeah, and it's going to be really exciting to see how this game kind of works out, because Ordinance, outside of team fights, their team is just so godly. I mean, having the TF and having the Ashe can just be so aggressive. We have a nice front line for them to protect Ashe as well. Mm-hmm. They're going to be focused on Jarvan and focused on Olaf. So that'll be nice. But really, when it comes down to team fights, CLG just is miles ahead. And again, we see a nice little invade here. All 3 games getting the invade. So CLG coming in this time. We just see the ward, and then Ordinance sitting back.
Positioning a whole lot, because that's the thing too. Like, there are a lot of corners in the jungle where sometimes you don't notice if someone there until it's a little bit too late, and that's just one of them. If you're going straight on up, you're not going to see them immediately until it's too late. And not to mention, these are also 2 guys with taunts that can throw their stuff into the air. Very convenient for that too. But remember too, there's a lot of flashes are all up. Everybody's got a flash. Everyone can go in and get those kills if they want to. And not to mention, TF and Ashe can go ahead and get their stuff through the wall if necessary. Stun through the wall. You're never going to see it coming. But it looks like CLG.Black is trying to make something happen here around the red area. They know, I mean, Olaf could really start it either. He could.
Yes, that's definitely the case. I mean, Olaf has the jungling speed.
I'm sorry, Jarvan. I'm sorry. I keep thinking.
Right, yeah, Jarvan.
What am I saying? I've been watching Nintendo too much.
It's interesting. Jarvan and Alistar, they're both extremely aggressive junglers. They both have strong level 2s. So we could see really quick ganks out of both of them. Alistar going to be stealing the race there. He's actually slightly faster than Jarvan is early on, and it'll be interesting to see. We do see the staff going off to the standard to check to see if there's an invade or anything.
Nice.
Olaf, just skirting along this top edge. Didn't really get an idea of anything. He actually didn't see them when he passed by, but he is still checking. So seeing that Kennen's not there and then having Kennen walk into him, he recognizes now they did steal that red, so he will be safe there. But as a result, Jarvan's going to come down, and unfortunately, CLG, they were already ready for it. They have the ward here, so we could get an engage, and TF definitely a little bit vulnerable in this mid lane. Hugging the bottom side doesn't want to allow Alistar to get an engage.
But here's the thing though, Sona with the power cord could chunk out Jarvan pretty huge, but they see everyone's moving down. TF's trying to prepare. Yoda will be able to get out with the flash and the yellow card, keeping the cow in one place. Will not be able to steal the red, but he's lost his own, so he's got to go ahead and retreat to his own jungle. Tail between the legs. He's like, well, what's Jarvan? What are you going to do now? He might have to just stay back and farm up just for the time being.
Yeah, and so really nice play there from Ordinance to kind of get out of there. Didn't really give an opportunity for CLG to get engaged.
Getting in position here for the mid. Flash, headbutt, does not get the pulverize.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised he didn't get that combo.
Yeah.
You know, there's actually times where you don't want to hit the rapid succession, the headbutt into the pulverize.
Yeah.
I think I probably would have gone for it there because then you followed up with the Anivia Flash Frost, you get a quick kill. So we'll have to see. I mean, TF can clear waves very easily. He has an advantage there. He doesn't have to worry about the mana sustainability like Anivia will have to. The Olaf pick, definitely an interesting one because, you know, when we look at CLG's team, they just have so much CC up front and they just, you know, can completely shut down fights. They have just this massive AoE team. And so Olaf, he's going to be able to run through a little bit of that. Olaf versus Kennen top. Kennen does have a little bit of a harass advantage early on, but, you know, if Olaf can get going, then he definitely has kill potential, particularly if he lands those cleaves and then follows up on it, he could get some damage going.
Yeah, I could actually see Brax just decide to max out the axes first. Just to go ahead and, you know, get some level of ranged harass. Granted, it's gonna burn through his mana, but he can just go ahead and walk right up, pick it up. He can farm pretty effectively with the axes as well, because it looks like Psycho Sid's just really looking to just push him to tower straight out.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. I mean, that's probably going to be the best thing for Kennen to do right now, to just constantly push him in the tower because you're not really going to be able to harass him out of lane that much. He does have a nice amount of regen. We'll have to see. I mean, we do have the nice ward up there, so he can aggressively push, deny some of that creep, and then not have to worry about Jarvan coming in. But if we see a cleave land, then very quickly Kennen could go down. The ward actually dying, and that is just such terrible timing. Yoda actually saw that the ward died. So unfortunately for Kennen, you know, he recognizes he could just come right back up and get a quick gank in a little bit.
That's the worst feeling in the world, too. It's like, oh, man, I could have had that if I just waited for a second. But on the flip side, Zuna does not really, you know, there is a ward actually in front of Dragon for Ordinance, so Alistar is going to get found out. And he's going to see bot lane move accordingly and realize I might not want to go ahead and gank down bot. But that's the unfortunate thing, though. Bot's sufficiently warded, mid is being pushed, top is being pushed. Granted, Alistar can be very effective at getting those ganks. It becomes risky to try. He's very capable at ganking from behind tower, but that requires him to be 6 first to get that extra tankiness, to get the ult, so he can actually live through it.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, you can gank before 6, but once you are 6, that's just going to be so devastating. We have the follow-up AoE and damage where it's, you know, going to easily pick up kills. The issue is, though, is we're on purple side. So blue side is a little bit easier to gank behind the turret. It's easier, you know, to get in behind. Purple side should be pretty safe. In the meantime, I'm surprised that, you know, Jarvan hasn't shown himself up top again, and he saw that the ward died, or at least I thought he did. Like he was right in that range. I thought he should have seen the ward die.
The pings went down. I'm pretty sure he knew.
Right. And so it's kind of surprising, but I guess his thought is, all right, I don't need to sit up top and, you know, maybe have Alistar come in and, you know, counter gank me at all. I can just, you know, put that fear into Kennen. Kennen the entire time has to play defensively, recognizing that I could be there, and then I can get an engage. But in the meantime, we do see Alistar coming into this top lane, just going to recall, actually, maybe wait for an engage, see if Jarvan's coming in.
Which he's going to be eventually. He's taking the small golems right now. After he's done with that, should actually transition to top. But in the meantime, Alistar's just going to go ahead, gain that positioning advantage, but it's actually just going to stay in the bush and recall. So I think he's doing this realizing, you know what, this is not the most ideal situation. Not 6, may not actually get everything you want, because remember, you know, there is the CC reduction on to Olaf. He is 6 now, so if he's in a pinch, you can just go ahead and ult away the stun from Kennen and actually get away scot-free.
And so far in this bottom lane, Ashe and Soraka doing a really nice job. Now, Corki and Sona, they actually have a really, you know, nice amount of burst potential. Corki, you know, clearly, but I think people a lot of times forget how much damage Sona can have. So, you know, that's a lot of kill potential. But Ashe does have the range. With Soraka, they do have the regen advantage. We do see they're coming in, stealing these mini golems, so they're going to be fine there. We'll get a nice little XP advantage. In the meantime, TF going to be passed off that blue, and he is level 6 now, so we could see some engages. The big thing for TF is, you know, bottom lane, if we can pick up kills there with the Ashe ultimate and with the TF follow-up, or just counter ganking Alistar. And if Alistar is trying to be aggressive in that top lane, just, you know, pour it in with Olaf, maybe pick up a quick kill there.
And Ashe is almost 6, so may actually see those ganks coming in again. You know, just Ashe Nocturne, that's a deadly combo. Ashe TF equally as effective. So there you go. There's Robert just dinging 6 now. So you may actually see Ken actually start to wander down towards the bot area, just like getting a little bit, a little bit in the river, just so you're in teleport range. And once the waves push on up, you may actually see an engagement here on the Hood Stomp or Bloodwater. Going to see once those last few meetings go, if they're push, if you're going to go ahead and decide to engage on this. But it looks like Ken is not quite in position. They're not going to go ahead and do it.
Well, and the nice thing is that it's a really nice opportunity for Ash to recall. And we'll see Ash actually, hanging out a little bit. How much gold does she have? So, she should be able to recall. She can buy a BF sword if she likes. Actually just going to allow the lane to, even out. So we'll be fine there.
Why
just
leave?
Sitting back for a second.
You're at full health. You're at full mana. Why leave? And all the potions are still available. Actually, for both ADs, they're just playing. They're just really playing the farm game. They're not really being too aggressive at all, really.
Yeah, and I mean, Ash will be fine with pushing it, a later and later first recall. If she was to go back then Corki would kind of be forced to sit in lane where Ash would be able to get a little bit of an advantage for gold. And they need Ash items in order to have the kill potential with TF to follow up on it. In the meantime, Olaf seems to be fine up top. He is kind of defensive against Kennen right now. So Kennen, with that 6, has a nice little window where you have enough burst to maybe take down Olaf, but it's still tough to say. With the regen and with the Soraka heal, I'm not sure that Kennen has enough damage 1v1 to kill Olaf. So for the most part, it's just going to be Olaf sitting here farming, and that's perfectly fine with him.
And the farm is, pretty good considering it's a melee versus a ranged. It's pretty even, and Brax is actually doing a pretty.
He's actually ahead right now because of the wave pushing in. So
yeah, he's gonna be he's gonna be edging out in the lead in just a moment here, and there's not a whole lot Segosid can do about it. And Braxton's go ahead and easily just tank those minions for the time being and grab whatever he needs to. So right now it's just everyone's really content with farming early on here. But if you look at the gold, that is a 1K lead for Ordinance. Farm only. Farm only. That's huge. That is really huge.
Yeah, and the big thing is Ash is doing really well in the bottom, and Olaf is doing well top. So we'll see. I mean, once Ash gets some of those items, we have the BF sword, so she has so much kill potential. Corki actually going the BF sword as well, not going for those Dorans for any kind of early tankiness, but now we're starting to see that aggression from Olaf coming in right into the Kennen ultimate. It doesn't matter. One more axe could maybe do it. He actually misses. He hit a minion, so he does go down.
Oh, well, that was actually both of them went down. Both of them went down. The Ignite actually ticked away Kennen. But there you go. There's the TF ult down bot. There we go. Now we're going to equalize things out a little bit. Right behind Sona manages to go ahead and get that kill. But, yeah, with that, though, that's a pretty good positioning. And look at this. Look at the positioning at Ordinance. 4-man bot. There's the dragon. Go for it.
Yeah, but in the meantime, CLG.Black, if no one comes to defend it, they actually probably could take down this dragon. We do see TF, trying to come in there and zone him off, or take down that tower. Yep. So we will have the dragon going down. The mid tower is going to take a lot of damage. Actually, Link coming right into him, but we do have the hawk shot. We'll see if we get an engage. The flash and cataclysm from Yoda. He will get out of there, but taking a lot of damage. If Zuna follows up on it, they will back off. So a nice little gold lead, 3K advantage for Ordinance right now.
Nice wall off from Anivia, and there's been a lot of Anivias actually playing in our qualifiers quite recently. They've actually had just really, really amazing and clutch walls. I'm just trying to remember. I mean, there are some good walls.
Well, CLGU with the previous qualifier is always fun. Navi, this one, AL looked really strong.
I mean, AL did not win their match, but they actually did. There's some pretty good Anivia play in there as well. For the time being. But still, that is the power of Anivia. It's not always about the damage. Sometimes it's just flat out. Oh, Fnatic had amazing. Anivia play against
really
Made in
strong.
Italy. If you want a quick primer on Anivia, go back and watch the Fnatic Made in Italy set. That's really all you need.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we do see, again, that nice little advantage for Ordinance. And, they have a really aggressive team. They have a great early game team. Olaf, as the game progresses, he's actually going to be able to split push top. He should be able to 1v1 almost anyone in the game, which is going to be nice. And then if he split pushes top and we have the Ashe and we have the Jarvan and we have the TF, all these great initiators, this great kind of burst damage, we could see some kills going off, and we'll just see whether or not Ashe just kind of goes for it. If you throw it off at the Corki, we could see a Valkyrie, maybe very close to pulling off that arrow, maybe try and bait him a little bit. Unfortunately, Zuna is here right now, so they will want to back off, but there it is, the Sona ultimate, and then Zuna coming right in the middle of the team. Soraka goes down immediately, and they have to back off now.
Spellsy just could not get it,
but
there
TF is
the
coming
TF.
in.
Where is he going? Is he going to come in at this at all? No, he's not. That's a pretty bad situation because, CLG, they're already back at tower. He would have taken at least one or two turret shots, plus another pulverize too. It would have been really bad for him. I would not have recommended that. But mid-tower, tier 1 for Ordinance will drop to the Anivia. It's going to go ahead and push, continue to push the wave, but, TF will go ahead and secure the blue. It's not too bad for himself either. But still, though, gold, still pretty even. The tower going down, sort of equalizing, just about a 500 gold difference between the teams now.
Yeah, and it is going to be an issue, though, for Ordinance to have to be going up against that Anivia, because TF, he's a really strong pusher, so as TF, you're usually looking to push into the enemy tower and then roam, but Anivia is an equally strong pusher at this point, particularly with blue, so very easily you can just counter out those pushes, and there you have it. A nice little gold advantage for Anivia while TF is away. We do have some nice damage going off, but Soraka will have the regen, not that big of a deal. And it's kind of interesting. We do have a Wriggles going down onto Jarvan, and that's kind of, always a decision you have to make as a jungle Jarvan, is if you go the Wriggles, you speed up your dragon, you speed up your buffs, but it does, slow down how tanky you are in fights. And if you go for gold pretends and go for those kind of support items, very quickly, Jarvan can just be unkillable in fights. That's not going to be the case here, but we do have TF coming bot. In the meantime, we do have that Ashe arrow as well. If we throw that off, Corki right to the face, getting a little bit too close.
Yep. Well, even if he's not as tanky, there is this. Oh, the arrow still getting in onto Hoodstomp. No teleport needed, and does not Valkyrie away in time. There is the damage. It's everything you needed. Now Ashe is going to be free farming just for a little bit. But, and Jarvan getting aggressive top lane, but the Alistar's not too... Oh, what the hell happened there? But Yoda is still in the middle of it, and like you mentioned before, he's not too tanky there. I wanted to know where the hell he was going there. It's just like headbutt and standard and pull and just all different directions. But Barack's...
The flash from Olaf, he is going to be able to get out of there. TF is coming top, though. We will have that ult up shortly. If they take a little bit too much damage, but Olaf is very low in mana, so they really don't have an opportunity to engage here. Yep. And the thing is, it's just that Jarvan's standard, it has priority over other abilities. So it's just the way the targeting works. Alistar, he got off his combo, but then Jarvan, it still pulls you. So
still amusing to watch, though. Still wonderfully amusing to watch. Just trying to get to your destination.
No,
but,
it'd be like you have multiple hooks and Blitzcranks and Nautiluses, and then having like a Leona or Jarvan bouncing back and forth. In the meantime, we do have Kennen getting picked off in this top lane. I'll go check that out real quick. So once Alistar had left, actually we have the TF teleport up and just chasing right into Kennen. The quick burst, trying to get out of there. Psycho Sid can't. So there's the second stun, and then the cleave. They're very easily able to pick up that kill. Yep.
Still makes me wish we can get, one of those days, potentially get the 5-on-5 everyone played Blitzcrank. That would still amuse me to no end. Maybe one day. We can see more crazy hook action and pull and push and shit and slam.
One day Blitzcrank will come.
One day, Blitz. One day. But for now, though, and gold is swayed back to that 1K lead Ordinance had at the beginning of the match. Bloodwater trying to get aggressive. There is the Sona ult, trying to focus down. Spellsy was the main target of the ult, but right now Hoodstomp was focusing all the damage onto Ashe. A little bit of miscommunication. Soraka could have fallen, but there's Yoda with the flash. Does not get the pull, does not get anything off that, but ult is still up. Still could get Bloodwater. Nice flash away.
And oh my god, I am so happy that Jarvan is finally fixed, I'm assuming. I seem to remember a patch a while ago where they changed that. We do have Anivia coming in. I'll talk about that in a second. Gets the wall off, and then the Flash Frost as well. Olaf is getting out of here, but unfortunately, we have Alistar as well, and they could pinch him down. We have Psycho Sid with the ultimate. Can we get it? We do not have a flash, so we won't be able to get in there. The Anivia Frost will force them back for a little bit.
But the dragon pressure is still there, though. I'm just right now, CLG is just play and keep away. Because, Dragon's, right there for the taking. There's Nivea trying to get the kill onto Spells. He does get it. Is the egg up? Yes, it is, but will he be able to still get out of there alive? Zuna out in front trying to run the point. The ult will not be enough to protect him, but Link will still go down in egg, and Bloodwater does not have anywhere to go. Oh, wow. That is a 3 for 1.
Kennen and Corki were both very high, but weren't there with their team, so kind of surprising play there from CLG. Weren't quite able to get the fight that they want. We have the Dragon going down into Ordnance. Now, going back to that Jarvan ult, it used to be that, Jarvan, if you flashed or something while the ult was going down, at about the timing that we saw, then the ult would follow you. So Sona, with the flash out, was able to get out of there, very safely. I'm glad that doesn't happen anymore. That was just incredibly annoying. But
how many teammates have you trapped under enemy towers?
Well, it's not so much that. It's just the fact that you're like, hey, I flashed, I got out of there, and Jarvan's like, nope, you're stuck. But I mean, it all started off with the engage onto Ashe, and it was the right decision to engage onto Ashe as opposed to Soraka. The Sona ultimate really was just there for the disables to prevent the heal and try and burst down Ashe in the meantime. But the big thing to remember is when you're fighting against a AD and support combo, it's usually easier to kill the support, but it's safer to kill the AD. And if Corki isn't dealing that damage to Ashe, then very quickly Ashe would have been able to turn around, pick up a couple of kills, and that's clearly never a good thing. So we actually have a nice little engage. Once again, the heal should be okay, and now Ashe coming down with that volley, chasing down Bloodwater here, does have that Infinity Edge, gets off a lot of burst damage, but Hood Stomp with the retaliation, so they will be fine there.
Sona ult is back up though, so if Robert and Spellsby push back out, they could be on the very poor end of a very long and terrifying note. But in the meantime, though, the TF, you can go ahead and pick up the blue. He has his Lichbane now, which is a very important core item on TF. So at this point, the more AP items he buys, that's just going to increase his damage output tenfold. So he's going to be a stronger ganker. He's going to be able to burst more, and those ganks that he makes in all those various lanes are just going to be that much more effective. There comes the Destiny coming down, and TF is right there underneath that tower, and there's the extra damage that I was talking about, and it's more than enough. More than enough to take out Sona before she could even ult.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting finishing that Trinity Force, or that Lichbane so quickly. And you actually have a little bit more damage. We do see Adivia and Alistar coming in here. Corki actually turning into him. We'll see if we get an engage. We have the flash into the headbutt pulverize onto Robert X. Lee. Unfortunately, the rest of his team is far enough back that they should be able to get out of there. So, kind of a wasted effort there. Yeah. It's interesting, the Sheen versus the Lichbane right now. We do have Olaf dueling it with Kennen. At this point in the game, without any other ability power items, he actually loses a little bit of damage by upgrading that Lichbane. You do a little bit more from the Sheen because it goes off of your base attack damage. However, it does give him the movement speed, which allows him to engage pretty quickly. And then if he's able to, the next ability power item that he gets very quickly, his damage is going to skyrocket.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, I personally have become a big fan of DFGs on TF, and that's kind of a build that's been really common right now. And just the amount of burst potential that you have, you can just one-shot basically anyone in the game. But the Lichbane is definitely really strong as well. It's been the most common build on TF for the longest time. Usually you get a couple of ability power items like a needlessly large rod first, but he's definitely going to be really strong. All around, they're just incredibly strong at this point.
When he's still in a really good spot in comparison to Link. Granted, Link did get the tower. Link 1-1-0. TF right now, Ken 2-0-4. He's in a really good spot. I think actually, let's take a look at gold real quick. Actually, so how much has he gotten so far? 71. Ashe and TF are the most farmed champs in the game right now. Beating their lane opponents by at least about 1,000 gold in the process. That's a pretty huge lead. And
that's always nice when you have a gold advantage. You want to know that the gold is going in the hands of the carries, so they can actually do something with it, as opposed to the support a lot of times, or the junglers sometimes can be an issue. But I don't know. We'll see. The issue for them is going to be coming in these mid-game fights when CLG is really coordinated, when they get Anivia controlling the fights and Kennen and Sona controlling the fights. They do have the Ashe to kite very successfully, so they can just throw off the volley. They can back out of there and kind of decide when they're fighting, so they don't have to just walk right into the AoE. I mean, clearly they're not going to just be like, hey, guys, you wanted to fight? All right, I'm here. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But
I think that's more of a reason to be picking Bro off. I don't think you can do that with this skin. I don't think you can.
We're gonna fight. That's perfect.
That's perfect. Create the Greggy Ice. Let's do this. Yeah, party. All right. You know, just, we wrong skin for that. That's if you're gonna be running a team comp like that, if you're gonna have Olaf, you gotta have the right skin.
Oh,
for
Alistar almost getting the engage. We actually had the flash out from TF. He recognized he was right on the edge of that engage opportunity, and the mobility boots from Alistar. He was hungry and he was in fast pursuit.
Yep.
So TF able to get out of there just barely.
Yeah, move 5 boots on Alistar into jungle is not all too uncommon, especially when you need to get somewhere in a fix, because you're there. You need to get your head, but you need to get the pulverize. You need that to happen in order to get your engagements right. Brax has an idea, but there's the Anivia wall. Wonderful positioning of the wall, but you will be able to flash out with the ultimate and get out to safety. And he's got the Maw. He's going to be able to go ahead and get that shield. Going to be a little bit more protected. He's got the Spirit Visage as well, so you have he's got a Vamp Scepter.
Well, it's cooldown reduction.
Yeah.
He has max cooldown reduction at this point.
Health.
So cooldown reduction, health, and MR.
Magic,
so
yeah.
having
There's a lot of
Ionian
magic
boots,
resist.
He actually his Q is on basically a 0-second cooldown. As fast as you can pick up your Q, it is going to be going right back out again. So that's definitely a strong build. We actually see they're pinging down this Baron. Going to be heading over there pretty quickly. They should be able to defend in time. CLG.Black really not that far out of position.
Yeah.
If we can see another wall like that, if Soraka was maybe pinned against the wall, we don't have any ward there.
Yeah.
Then maybe that they could really quickly pick off a fight. There's the wall to get some vision, and they're actually just going to push down this mid turret. While in the meantime, Corki and Kenner mid, they could actually trade turrets. So the top turret's going to go down for Ordinance, but in the meantime, CLG they can just take this mid turret, and that's going to be to their benefit. So
yeah,
we'll see.
It's not the best trade in the world, giving up a tier 1 for giving up a tier 2 for a tier 1. But you know what? Ordinance realizes they are in their ways. They all decide to back off, and you know what? CLG saw them all back, so they realized, okay, they're going to be here to defend a tier 3. We can't do this anymore. Dragon is open.
They couldn't even take the tier 1 turret because they recognize if we take this, we're going to lose our base. In the meantime, we have Blue going down onto Anivia. We have the Dragon going down as well pretty quickly. And I don't know, they can't just go fight CLG.Black right out in the open.
TF
so
ult.
we might see an ult from Ashe, but I really doubt it. They know that they can't just walk right into this AoE from CLG.Black. So having such a nice teamfight team has all of a sudden brought them back into this game with a couple of map objectives. But
here's the thing, Ordinance knows that everyone's out of position for CLG.Black. They may be able to just straight out rush the Baron, but there is no ward coverage in that area from CLG.Black. There's the wall. They have a little bit of an idea, but still not all too much. Corki's a little bit far behind. He's farming up the Wraiths, so hopefully there's not an engage that happens without him in the near future. But now it's a dance. Now it's a dance around the Baron. Now it's a dance around the objectives. Everyone's moving as a full 5-pack, and now this is the part where everyone starts pressuring those objectives. And Baron could absolutely be a huge game changer, especially in games like this where the gold lead fluctuates and regulates back to back to default so often. I mean, it's only about a 2K swing for now, but it's been going back and forth and going back to neutral a lot during this match so far. So that could definitely just spiral it out of control for whoever gets the first Baron.
And the big issue is, for Ordinances, they know, all right, CLG.Black, they're stronger at team fights. If we just fight them head on, we're basically going to lose. They just have so much CC and so much, kiting potential. Ordinance, on the other hand, how are we going to initiate? We're looking to pick people off. But if CLG.Black is just kind of sitting around as a team, okay, if we get an Ashe Arrow onto Corki, well, Corki will hopefully be able to Valkyrie in time where maybe he can get behind the rest of his team, so it doesn't really matter that much. With a lot of stuns, you can actually throw off movement abilities as the stun happens, so even though you're stunned, you get out of there still. If it goes on to Anivia, Anivia is going to be tanky enough, and then have the Kennen and the Ashe. There's the Corki.
Straight for the hood stomp, but there is the TF ult to try and see where everyone's at. Stun will not be working on Alistar. He does have the ult up. Shirley is being popped, but will there still be a teleport from the TF? He's waiting for last possible. No, but the Jarvan will be the first one to go down. The exhaust going down onto the Ashe, trying to get over the wall from Anivia. Will actually get to save him, but the Corki will be in pursuit with the Valkyrie and does get the kill. Olaf trying to get some extra damage down onto the egg. May not be successful. No, Anivia will still live, and Kennen just trying to get on the end of that. 3 for free for CLG.Black, but they are too weak. They cannot go after objectives right now.
Yeah, and you saw we just don't have the pick-off damage to take people down for Ordinance, and they know that all right, well, we can't, just fight them head on. So the entire time they're kind of sitting back, trying to poke them down, trying to keep Ash alive, and they just didn't have a great opportunity for any of these fights. We have the red buff going down for Corki.
And look at Anivia, just bought a Warmogs. I thought that was 2 Warmogs. I got afraid there for a second because I saw.
You saw it switch?
I saw the Warmogs shift over into the inventory, replaced by another green item, which was a ward. I got scared for a second. I'm like, 2 Warmogs and Anivia. You're a bird, silly. You can't wear 2 of those.
It's interesting how common that build has become.
Yeah.
Since Froggen started it, and the big thing is, all right, they've got the double AP. They have Corki as well, so they have plenty of damage, and that's not the issue. They know, all right, we're already going to win these fights. We don't need damage output. And Anivia has high base damage, but actually has kind of poor scaling. Like, it's not bad scaling, but it's not that great where you're like, wow, I have to get just tons of ability power, and I'm going to AoE everyone. So for Anivia, all you really need to do is you hit your disables, and the rest of your team goes to work. So as long as you're doing that, you're fine. Having that Warmogs, Anivia is going to be unkillable, can sit up front and be more aggressive, since some of Anivia's abilities, you kind of need to be kind of close range to get them off. So it's actually a really smart build. It's really interesting, and we do see Ash here. If we get a pick off, they drop the ward to maybe try and bait someone in. The wall not going to hit those, so they will be fine.
Arrow for Ash is back up. Wish is up. Everyone's ult is actually back up for Ordinance. Does anyone there we go. Kennan's ult just popped back up. So now it's reset. Everyone's ults are back up. Everyone's ready to go once again. And it looks like right now, CLG.Black, they're trying to bait out the Baron as best as possible. Try and get another fight like they had last time, because it worked out really well for them, especially getting the wall off on that ramp and ensuring that no one can escape. And they learned their lesson from game 2. You have to shut down the Ashe, otherwise she's just going to go ahead and blow everyone away. And she's pretty well farmed right now. 2-1-4, Phantom Dancer, Infinity Edge, and there you go. There's the Soraka. And there is the wall, keeping the Soraka trap. Dies in mid, pulverized in mid-air, but there's still a lot of damage coming out from a distance for Ordinance. They got to be careful. Yeah, but there you go. The pings are going down. They're going straight for Baron.
The whole time that's happening, Spellsy had to have been going through his mind. He's like, all right, I know it's a bait. I know it's a bait. I know it's a bait.
Oh my God, it's a bait.
Which is why he was sitting up on the left side there. But the really nice Anivia wall, I think he thought that he was going to be just slightly out of range.
Yeah.
But going down there. And so Zuna just kept on dropping those wards and just chuckling to himself a little bit there. They don't really have a strong Baron team, so they can't really pressure the Baron. If they do, then all of a sudden we're going to start dealing with the Olaf, and the poke from Ashe and TF could wear them down while they're doing the Baron. So they're just going to continue to pressure the rest of the map. And we'll see if they start pushing, because they have
still
plenty of pushing potential. They can clear the waves very easily. TF, the issue is against TF is that he insta-clears waves. But they know, all right, if TF comes close range to Anivia, Anivia's just going to wall him off, and then we win the fight. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they just sat out mid and, pushed right down towards that base.
So, yeah, but with that, though, with the tower going down in bot, once again, gold lead is practically neutral. There's only about 100, 200 gold still separating these two teams. Kills are bang on even, but look, there's 4 towers down on Ordinance's side. Not a single turret has been claimed by Ordinance on CLG.Black. So that does speak a lot to things like farm, just purely onto Ordinance. And you saw it very early on in the beginning of the game as well, just like a 1k lead just purely from farm. But there's Shiralia's being a movement speed actually buff from Sona, getting everyone in position. There are wards. There is the Oracles on the Alistar going to be clearing that away. They're trying to force that Baron fight once again.
Yeah, and so, they can pressure a fight, but the issue is Ordinance knows that they're going to lose the fights. They hit the Baron, so Psycho Sid taking some nice damage there. Soraka almost caught off, but there's the Ash Arrow and the Jarvan Cataclysm right on top of Sona. Sona almost going down, TF around the backline, and they are completely skewed off. They don't know what they're doing. Olaf going to be able to pick up the kill there. There is Corki going down. Kinnick teleporting in between, behind them. Psycho Sid is going to go down to that yellow card, and now in the meantime, Robert Exley is perfectly fine. He will be able to pick up the Alistar there. Anivia is the sole survivor, but she'll be going down shortly. As long as Spellsy lives, they could actually just pull off on her, and we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a long chase, so they'll probably just decide to stop. And so going back to this fight, you saw just a perfect split from Ordinance, and it starts with the engage. We saw the wild card, was it? No, actually, Psycho Sid just hitting it himself, so he's taking some Baron damage. We have the engage, and there's the Cataclysm, and now TF coming around the backside. They're able to split them in 2 different ways, and Nivea running around doesn't really know, which way is up. We do have the kills going down, and just really nice control all around, and picking up the kills from Ordinance.
By far, bar none, the MVP of that last fight, Baron. Psycho Sid, this foolishly, was it an auto attack or a Q? I don't even remember. I think it's just a flat out auto attack. That brought Psycho Sid down so low, but the Kennen ult is still a fantastic primary initiation tool, especially when everyone is clumped up on Ordnance. Just a huge misstep there, and Baron just chunked out like 2/3 of Psycho Sid's health, putting him in a very huge disadvantage in that fight, and he immediately breaks off upon initiation.
And I just think it's wild that it looked like this game was almost going to be over for Ordinance. I mean, we have such a strong teamfight team for CLG, but here's the thing. Both Jarvan and Olaf are incredibly tanky now, and Olaf in particular, he can just run straight at them. If you can dissuade Corki from dealing damage, they lose out on so much of their damage. So much of it is tied into Corki, and so Olaf, he's able to run through the CCs. He's able to force Corki to be really defensive in these fights, not be able to get off as much damage as they need. And very quickly, they're able to win a fight in that situation just because Olaf can run straight into him. So, if we continue to see that Olaf not going down and then have the Ashe and the TF wearing at them from the sides, that could definitely work out for Ordinance.
And look, Corki is bot lane trying to get his farm on, cannot defend against the minion push. Bottom tier 1 does go down. Ashe is getting some farm on her own. Will actually also pick up the red buff to bring with her into the next team fight. But Corki is way too far away to try and get that farm. He needs to get back with the rest of his team. I mean, this is we're in mid game now, almost heading into late game. This is where you need to be with your team. This is a very critical team fight phase, because whoever loses this next fight could very well be giving up Baron straight out here. So it's just all about positioning. It's all about trying to force the fights that your opponent does not want to make. However, Anivia does have the wall, Alistar does have the pulverized head, but Jarvan could also keep people away. And you saw in the last fight too, TF and the ult can do a very good job picking off those retreating members. But right now they're just trying to play the poke game and trying to play the ward clear game as well. You have the oracles on the Alistar. Does anyone have oracles on the Ordnance? Yeah, there you go. Soraka's got hers.
Yeah, she rebought after the last ward bait, but
yep.
We'll see. We have some nice damage. The ward coming down here, trying to pick someone off over the wall. Can't really get an option there. Alistar, in the meantime, clearing out the Baron, so they could potentially force a Baron again, but the big thing is they want to keep everyone in front of them, and if they can keep all of Ordinance in front of them, then that protects Corki. Corki can just, stand there, basically, and AoE everyone. But if we see a split fight once again, then that could be to Ordinance's favor, because Corki, won't be as comfortable as you would like.
All those speed buffs coming in from Sona, trying to get something go initiate in. And there's 2 Shirelias on the team as well. One on Sona, one on Alistar. So if they need to close the gap, they have the ability to do so. But now is just trying to get that positioning. They're trying to camp out a bush, trying to just catch Ordnance at this point on. And Yoda does have an idea where they are. They're moving away in a clump, and right now they're in pursuit. Sometimes you may also see a TF ult in the near future just to see where they are. A lot of TFs will also use the ult just to get the vision, not even necessarily to, teleport.
Yeah, and it's always kind of, I don't know, an iffy thing. You want to hold off as long as possible, because we saw in that last fight, TF was able to port to the backline. So he came in behind Anivia and then ported again to pick off that Kennen. So you really would like that teleport to be up in the middle of those fights. You don't want to have to use it for vision, so it's really going to be a standoff for a while. We do have a ward still in that Baron pit that was placed. We do have the hawk shot from Ashe, so whenever that's up, that's always going to be a better option than TF's ultimate. So they should be okay here. TF was pushing bottom, so we could see a force here. But again, they don't really have a very strong Baron team. Everyone, they don't have a tank or a frontline bruiser, so they're going to get low if they try and do Baron, and Ordinance knows that. They know, all right, you can't do Baron very easily. This is going to stall here, because if they do, then Alistar is going to get very low while they're trying it.
Yep, there's a hawk shot from Ashe, just finding everybody out. You saw that CLG.Black was trying to camp out that one bush, and if you're approaching from purple side, that's a very tricky bush to try and get around, because even if you're just seen out in the river at all, if someone's in that bush, they're pretty much, within range to CC you pretty hard. Even then, a Nivea wall, if you just walk in there from that bush, just go ahead and clear off the exit, and you're trapped. And that's the same thing also happens, same bush on bot if you're approaching in from the blue side. Very same thing, same principles apply. This is it is indeed pretty much a mirror copy of itself.
Wow, and so actually Ordinance calling off the bluff, but CLG just deciding, all right, we can just push down this mid lane, and actually Zuna
walking into that bush, the Ash arrow just not getting anybody, but it's okay. Alistar is being forced out of the fight immediately. Hoodstomp being chugged up pretty good, and here comes the TF ult, focusing down the Sona immediately, and Ash is there to help pile on all the damage. Psycho Sid may not be able to get away from that one, but the blue card doing a fair amount of damage still on its own, waiting for that yellow card. With red card actually going down onto the Anivia, so not quite getting the two yellows, the yellow card since we need, but it's okay. The bird is trapped. Your bird is now caged, ready to go, and now 5 members of Ordinance still up. That's a Baron.
Yeah, so awesome play from Ordinance. Really, it kind of started off with a misstep from Alistar.
Yeah.
Alistar, still has the ultimate, but the reaction time not fast enough. We saw, just a ton of damage going off from Ordinance really quickly, and then the fight was just so disorganized the entire time. They're able to just run them down, and it's kind of interesting. We have this upfront, AoE team for CLG, but they just can't get the fights that they would like to, and so really quickly, Ordinance has turned this around, and now we're starting to come into this, super late game where, Ashe versus Corki. Corki deals a little bit more damage, but Ashe is the utility. So Ashe, kind of wins there to a degree. But the big thing is Olaf and Jarvan. And Olaf and Jarvan are a hell of a lot stronger than Kennen and Alistar are. Kennen and Alistar, they have, great teamfight potential, but the late game damage and sustainability, tankiness just isn't there. So just the fact that, the two of them late game can crush fights, and we'll see. I mean, we still have a really nice AoE teamfight team for CLG if they can organize the fight that they want. But then the issue is, if Corki's not there, they probably can't take objectives very easily. They're not going to be able to take a Baron without Corki. It'll be slow to push towers without Corki. So as long as Ordinance can pick off Corki, can have Olaf just chase Corki down, then really quickly CLG's at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean, more than likely, if a fight's going to occur, it's going to be at one of CLG.Black's own towers. At which point you can go ahead. Kennen just Flash from Kennen is down. A lot of the ults are actually down. So if we're going to see initiation, it's more than likely going to be a flash ult from Sona, because she's the only one who's got it up right now. So flash ult from Sona, follow up into everyone else's ults and CC to keep everyone's staying still. That's going to be the best chance CLG.Black has right now. Actually, that's an issue. Ashe has a GA right now. That's bad news bears right there.
Yeah, and so we have a little bit of burst damage for CLG, but we don't have a lot of sustained damage, and that's what you get when you have a Kennen and an Anivia. They don't have that sustained damage to win these long fights. Connect can just pressure down this bottom. He does have the TP. He can split push pretty easily here, and now because of the lead that they've taken, they recognize they're safe to split push. They don't have to worry about a hard engage onto the rest of their team, because the issue is, if CLG.Black gets a hard engage onto the rest of Ordinance, then it's not like TF can just teleport in. I mean, that's almost never a good thing, to be forced to teleport into a fight, which is why split push TF can kind of struggle at times. If you teleport in, they see the teleport going off, they're like, hey, let's kill that guy.
Yeah.
But he will be able to get some nice pressure here as long as his team is playing defensively. And they have the volley, they can get out of there pretty easily. So a nice, easy tower for TF.
Yeah, but I mean, also when you look at other champions who can teleport in, sometimes a Shen will try and teleport into a fight, but if the character dies before he can teleport in, then it only puts your puts your team in a bigger disadvantage. There's benefits and drawbacks by each. Healing the minion to keep him tanking that tower just for a second
longer. Well, the better
longer.
thing was that Anivia wall forcing the flash on Soraka, almost getting the pick off there.
Yeah, almost had that, but still though, even then, you still got the rest of your team relatively close by, and even then you got the TF with just so much damage going on to Hoodstomp right there in bot, and forcing him to back.
Because Corki was forced to back, they can actually get a lot of damage on this tower. We might actually see a fight here, because Zuna just walking right into him. We have the Anivia wall off. The tower is gone, and we have TF porting in. We have the quick AoE, but unfortunately, it is not going to be enough for CLG. They are chasing him down. We will get another stun off potentially, but they're actually just going to back off. So 2 quick kills, and we have the inhibitor going down, and then they can trade transition right to this bottom turret, pick up this inhibitor as well.
Alistar's looking really low. He needs to go back to base right now. Kennen is the only one pretty much with a real defense here, trying to keep the rest of Ordnance away. They're just going straight on in for next stars. There's the headbutt and pulverize from Alistar, trying to keep everyone away, but it is not going to be enough. 35 seconds for Anivia and Corki to come on back, but you know what? They're just leaving the game right now. They know it's all for naught. Game 3, Ordnance moving on to round of 4, man. Wow, good job.
Yeah, really awesome play from Ordnance. They beat out MTW in the previous matchup, so MTW is definitely a top-tier team.
Yep.
CLG.Black looked really strong in game number 1, but Ordnance able to turn it around. And once that TF wasn't banned, you saw the threat of it. You saw how devastating it could be. Anivia, in fights can work very well against TF because TF is short range. You can't get off the stuns against Anivia because she's just going to wall you off, and very quickly you lose those fights. But even so, Ordnance, they played a really defensive game. They had an early advantage, and then were able to stall off into the late game. So there was a period of time where CLG was just going to rock team fights, and Ordnance just kind of held off until they were eventually late enough where Olaf was just so tanky, and they had enough burst damage. They were able to split the fights very easily. So really nice play all around.
And not to mention, there were 2 critical moments where CLG.Black had major missteps. You had the one Baron fight where Psychosid was brought low from the Baron, and then you have the disastrous Zuna face check. That just, he entered the fight at about a quarter health, did not get the ult off in time, and that just, both of those fights, because of because of those missteps, essentially turned into 4v5s in a match which has already been so dead even the entire time.
A big thing to consider is the Ashe kind of forces those missteps. And with Ashe, you have the initiation. You get to decide when fights are going to happen. You get to stall out fights. And so a lot of times CLG is like, we want to fight, dang it. I'm looking for a fight. I want to get my rage on.
Yeah.
And, because of the way Ordnance was playing, they didn't have opportunities. So as a result, you start getting careless. You start trying to force fights. You start trying to force engages. And all of a sudden, you put yourself into a bad situation. Ordnance steps on it.
And there you go. And that's the strength of Ordnance, man. And CLG.Black, though, they had a really good display this series. Just sometimes those missteps do happen, but extremely entertaining set. And looking to see how well Ordnance does in their next game. I believe they're playing the winner of Curse Legion, which I think is actually going to be happening tomorrow night. So do stop by once again tomorrow to check up on that. And as always, do check up on everything we're doing here at the IGN Pro League. IGN Pro League on Facebook and on Twitter, IPL on YouTube and on Twitch. And as always, send us your tops, send us your flops. We want your replays, IPL replays at gmail.com. If we use them, we're going to send you something nice. And I think for now, though, we're pretty much done.
Yeah, we are done. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Definitely a cool match. We'll throw up the rebroadcast as well. And, that'll be cool.
And as always, thanks for sticking around with us. Always a joy to have you here with us on the IPL stream. And we will see you next time. Good night.